fee point was really attractive compared to what it would cost to pay, someone like yourself or me to be in a cherry picker for months going over a building, and then the use of AI on the back of that to, look at those pictures.
You still need us.
I give it 10 more years and they won't. Which is, for me, it's a really good point. It's interesting, are we going to be replaced by AI? What do you think in AI?
I think it's such an innate. I was listening to Rick Rubin, so he's famous for doing groups. He's a record producer. In fact, he himself says he's a record reducer, right? And he sort of would sleep in the corner of a studio and have the Chili Peppers making some sounds, and then he would just wake up and go, no, actually take all the strip it all back and go with that. Now he says about art, he says that the thing about art, artists and art have a point, and AI will never have a point. So, and I think this is the thing, when you or me look at a building that we care about, or we're being asked to try and resolve something, we will have a point. AI will never have that point. And we use AI. So, with our software and our platform, we're collecting, I don't know, we might collect on a 4,000 or 5,000 data points. And we can employ the AI to say, okay, go and look for a short failing, after it's been trained. But that's all it will tell. It won't be able to say, it will say it might be a short gasket. And that's all it'll be able to tell. It's a short gasket, but it won't have a point of why that's occurred. It won't understand, because it's on the south facade, or it won't because there's a canopy over it. There's a lot of things that we intellectualize and make it look easy through experience. And we'll have a point about something, or certainly a theory that AI will never bring in.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree. I think perhaps now, maybe, I agree. There's still that human element and that understanding, I think, of what you're looking at and how that interprets it and the next steps. But, language models are built on, I'm not a computer scientist, but they're built on billions of, trillions bits of information these days, and I don't think it's that far away, where you'll be able to send a drone up, it will create the 3D model of the building, that gets fed into a model, the resolution is so high, the AI can interpret, all the defects in the facade, it will list out a PPM, a planned preventative maintenance schedule, it will pull the current data for costs in from databases or information it has itself, give you all the maintenance costs, target areas, priorities, all by, you only need one person to fly the drone. That's what you need. You don't need the technical specialist. Maybe the technical specialist is right at the end of that process to sensor check what's being produced and say, I agree or disagree, and then implement that. You won't need someone like me to go and look on a building to do that survey anymore. And I think that's, for me, it's exciting, right? For me, I've got to look forward and see where my career goes. Where do I need to look? I did design. Design was really interesting, really loved design, loved modeling. But, once every design is unique, but there are very common elements. I don't think it's that far away until AI can do design. Why can't it produce drawings, schematics?
Listen, we know it can. I mean, there's ChatGPT released, or, the company behind it released, is it Zora, or one of that Sora, where now it's text to video.
Yeah.
So, you can text and it'll come up with a video, and we will no longer need a videographer. I know. But I've tried nearly every version of what's available because I love it. I love how it's working. I still see it as an enabler. I still see that even in years to come, we will be writing the script for it. I mean, it's all about prompt engineering. I mean, you could replicate probably the most exciting thing for me that and I haven't written like thousands of books, but if I was Einstein, for instance, and I put into one of these large language models and said, right, learn all these books, take all the information, look at every podcast, every seminar, every conference I've ever been to and written and said, and then you can make this model of myself. Then effectively, it would teach to an incredible the cross checking of all that information. I'm never going to remember that book. I mean, I'm never going to remember what I said on the first podcast I did, or within half hour of what we've talked about, it won't be there. Whereas an AI version of that will absorb it, take it in, and remember that me and John sat down and we talked about this in 30 years' time, and will give an accurate representation. Is that is that sentient? No, not really. I don't think that's going to have it will give you the accurate information, but will it be able to gauge the bonhomie that's going on in the room at the moment? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, it's technology is transforming really fast, right? And I think for me, design of buildings is a recipe. Every new building is unique. However, there are a lot of similarities with how systems design, systems chosen, materiality, and then how that building is constructed, and then how it is tenanted and leased, and then how it is sold and transacted on. Yes, things happen, things vary, and things change, but ultimately, you give a language model enough of that information, which is starting to be out there. BIM has been around since forever, and that kind of computer information and building information management and modeling is being created now and is available for language models to look and learn and understand how it's done. And then it's going to take, yeah, you're right, someone's going to have to write the prompt, but if a client says, I want a new residential block 30 stories high in southwest London on this plot of land, I want it to look like X, Y, and Z, generate design, and it spits out all of the stage 4 coordinated design, all the mechanical, all the electrical, all the issues you normally have, which is coordination between engineering and the architect and contractor, is eliminated, and you have a fully coordinated package generated for you with very few fees. The cost is to pay the people who run that software. I honestly don't think that's incredibly far away. I mean, unique buildings, like London Eye or Sky Pool or the Shard and things like this. You still need someone to think of that creative idea, but the design and especially the contracted design and things like that.
So we're going to outsource the functionality. The form will be a little bit.
It's art.
Yeah,
I like buildings, so I think buildings are art. But
yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, I think it is, and I think it's available now. I mean, I've seen certainly on LinkedIn. There's so many people that are actually claiming that is a reality and have implemented it. I wonder whether we talk about a golden thread. I mean, it's taken a while before. I mean, I heard the other day that the building safety register are now saying they want it all going into the, and I don't know if this is just the first iteration. There was the organisation that was dealing with interoperability and having those O&M functions, like traceable. Where is that? Where is that central pool? Where is the sort of governmental oversight?
Yeah, that's super tricky. I mean, BIM, construction industry in general is so slow with technology uptake. Generally speaking, we're so far behind the rest of the world. You've got very, very high tech technology companies, producing incredible technology, and then you've got construction still, doing things on paper and printing out and old school PDFs by email. I think some parties are moving forward and using new technologies where they can, but you mean like industry foundation classes, that's been around since the 90s, I think. For interoperability between models, proprietary model formats. Everyone says BIM. Do they just mean Revit or Desk, or do they mean the actual concept that is BIM? It's a really interesting question, and I think in terms of AI, I think the construction industry won't pick it up before it's too late and it's overtaken it, if that makes sense. People from outside the industry will realize that there's quite a lot of money to be made in construction by implementing their softwares, and perhaps people in construction won't see that happening. I don't know. It's a really interesting time in technology at the moment.
Is there, for people that want to be involved in that ethos, where are the opportunities, perhaps, with all the supply chain around that to support that?
Yeah, I would say, for contractors and, anyone invested in buildings, you just got to upskill, understand technologies, understand where they're useful, where they're not, and understand kind of, how to engage with them and how clients want to use them, right? I think that's the biggest task for, people like me, people like you, who, work on buildings every day. Kind of how is this technology going to be used? How am I going to change my practices to move with technology? Yeah, I mean, I'm quite early in my career, I suppose. So, when I was in my degree, it was all about BIM, and AI wasn't really talked about. But I now imagine people doing their degrees are talking about AI and how it works. Give it 10 years, they're in the industry, they're working. Are they more developers as opposed to engineers? I don't know.
Exactly. What about, I suppose, in dystopian land, what's the impact on the industry if they don't do anything, or if we don't upskill, or if we ignore this opportunity that genuinely presents itself as an enabler?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, changing construction is slow because a lot of it is still very manual. At the end of the day, someone has to lay a brick. Someone has to use a drill. AI will never be able to drill something into a wall. And if people aren't going to, who are in charge of these, aren't going to adapt to new technologies, the people doing the work will stay, but the people in charge will change to people who can utilize the software. So it will be developers or tech people who don't necessarily need to know the ins and outs of how to assemble, but they know how software works and can leverage existing knowledge to their advantage. That's, so I see a lot of old practices being made redundant, all the coordination roles, all that time period in construction projects where it's, trying to get a coordinated design, or that part of a glass replacement where it's trying to figure out exactly how we do it. You input all the information to a program, you go click a button, and it tells you everything you need to do, how it's going to be done, calculations if they're needed, and says, there you go. Then you just need the people to implement it. So that's where I see it going. And
it's good. There's always going to be a need for implementation, even whether you're using robots to implement, but the implementation of those things is going to be key, and they're going to need really good information models to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even that though, thinking it more through, you've got MMC, Modern Methods of Construction, and DFMA, Design for Manufacture and Assembly. Taking construction away from construction sites, modular buildings, kind of, in factories, kind of more like the automotive industry, production lines get built by robots, conveyor belted onto a trolley. That's driverless car to the site by a automated crane, lifts it into position. You have a small robot that fits the part together, and your building gets built. There's no one needed there. You need the person to manage the factory. You need the person to maintain the road, but maybe that's a robot. Do you know what I mean? That's the far future, obviously, but
when you say far future, what do you see?
I think it come around scarily fast.
I
think before I retire.
So you're talking 10, 20, 30 years time?
Yeah, but it depends, No one can tell the uptake. For me, what I've always seen is who pays for it. That's the biggest driver, right? Who pays for technology? When I was looking at BIM in university, which was quite a while ago now, but kind of the big question was like, all these great technologies are fantastic. Client, please, this is great. Do you want to pay for it? And they go, no. Why would I pay for that when I know this works and I'll get a delivery. It's all risk versus reward, risk versus cost. I can't afford to take that risk, so I'll go this way. So it does require, people to take initiative. So we like I was talking about drone surveys and things, we often try to show clients, either through, just doing it because we want to, do a free high definition photography survey on the back of just a normal condition survey to say, look, this is what we could do for you. We've done it. Have a look. What do you think? Maybe next time you'll choose this instead of the traditional way. And I know you guys implement site monitoring software and things like that off your own backs, and clients then see the benefit and they want to implement them. So
I don't think it started off with a sort of show and tell. I can't imagine, we've I don't know 4 or 5 different things, but I can't imagine actually doing workflow without some kind of method of recording. At first it was a big challenge to get the guys to take a picture. Then it was a video, and then we'd WhatsApp. Now with LiDAR and walkthroughs and camera helmets, the level of information and the speed of response to be able to go, actually, if we try that now, we did something on a building, which it was the only way to have done it. We did it because we wanted to try it. So we worked with Cognitive Spark, and they were generous enough, and they gave us the, I forget the name of the goggles now, but where you can bring up heads-up displays.
Oh, like the Meta Vision goggles.
Yeah, but it's the Microsoft ones.
Okay.
Anyway, you can insert that. But the guys were up on, they're up on 30 floors up, trying to fix something, and I'm in the basement, and I can send them the O&Ms or the specialized detail for it with a little markup, actually in real time. So they're seeing it in their field of vision, because obviously they need their hands. They're seeing the information in field of vision, and they're actually being able to just by hand gesture take a picture. That goes back to me. I look at it and go, yeah, actually that's fine. And it's like doing open heart surgery with a surgeon in a different country who maybe need my skill because I've seen it. And I think that kind of collaborative speed for repair and maintenance and installation is, where I get quite excited about how technology can, and it's saved us a lot of time. Otherwise, you just be growing with, and it's not even just growing with people, but you need time served people, and there aren't that many time served people left. I would if I had to. Someone asked me the other day, how many, if you had to put together a team to do all the work in London, let's say, I think you would struggle to find the quality needed. 250 people. That's and that's. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn there, but that's what it feels like. There are thousands of guys out there, but people that have gone through and worked on all the systems, that have gone on all the CWCT courses, all done all the Shuko stuff, worked on the test rigs, that are probably somewhere around about 55, 60 years old, and have fitted probably independently, each worked on, I don't know, 10,000 square meters of product. I don't think there's about 250 left.
It's a hard job. It's a hard job being out there on site. And, I suppose when I was on site, we saw a huge turnover in labour. I think it was 400 to 600 people site at any one time. And every 2 weeks we were inducting another new 100 people never been to the site before. And I feel for contractors. You agree to timelines, project timelines, deadlines, and to get that skilled labour there to actually install it. The reliability of of operatives to turn up and do the job they said they can do is difficult, especially as we're talking about technology is getting more advanced, facades are getting more advanced, more complex. It's not such a cavity brick wall anymore. It's a unitized curtain walling. It's
triple skin.
Yeah, exactly. And all the performance requirements and the nuances with different systems, how it's designed. I think that's a really big opportunity for technology to kind of bridge that gap, to help inform designers the capabilities of what can actually be done on site, as opposed to saying, I've designed this great novel detail, it's going to work fantastically. You get to site, the operative designated to install it has never installed anything like this, and it's going to go wrong because, you never do something right the first time. It takes time.
Well, the thing is with an arty building is the replacement strategy is probably not front of house, front of mind when you're doing it. And that's often the thing that gets compromised, because when you have to do the replacement, sometimes you have to butcher it to get it out because no one's thought about it's stacked from the ground up, and no one's going to take down 10 floors of unitize just to replace something. So what's the need, do you think? What's the unmet need maybe that you see out there from your privileged position that's probably not obvious to people?
Interesting question. I'd say I see, skilled engineers staying in engineering is always one I see. There's a lot of competition out there now in terms of what you should be doing with your career and things like that. And engineering, you have to have a real passion, to work in design. You have to really want to be in design. Architects are famous for working extremely long hours, and facade engineers who aren't that far away from architects, they're not that far behind in kind of the work ethic you need to do a design. And then you have clients squeezing budgets, squeezing projects, timelines and costs. The contractors, you take the biggest risks, right? You're building the thing, so you also take the biggest fees. So, designers, consultants often get squeezed. Engineers, they just don't want to stick around. Why would I take on risk for reward sort of thing? When I review something, it does have an impact on health and safety, right?
Yeah.
If I review something wrong and a panel falls off the building, then I am at fault. Hopefully all the procedures are in there so that doesn't happen. But if I was to change to tech, for example, and sell someone a bit of a database, where's the health and safety risk in there? I can tell you my salary would be much better.
Yeah.
But so I think the need is for the industry to recognize that, they need to work hard to pull in talent. There has to be those exciting opportunities with technology. There has to be those exciting places to work for young people to want to work in it. And some parts of the industry are very old-fashioned. Contracting is often one of them. Working at home is just not an option if you're building on site. So you're talking about the amount of skilled labor who wants to do that when you do need skilled people, skilled engineers to install some of this, some of these systems. And
That's an interesting thing that you bring up there, because everyone talks about apprenticeship schemes and bringing new talent on at every level. Whether we're bringing in technicians to do the work, or whether it's facade engineers trying to recruit, is just trying to make it. I think recognition is a really good word, because there is a lot riding on whether you're putting in the screw, putting it in right, to actually specifying the screw, to actually manufacturing that screw, to checking and identifying, okay, well, that screw's in the wrong place. That whole thing needs to, there is a certain level of recognition that is being foisted upon us, big and rightly so, as a result of the Building Safety Acts and things like that, and now golden thread. But at the same time, that squeeze, and maybe other industries made to look more sexy and easier. We worked all through lockdown. Tried to get out because we had things to fulfill. Not that I was expecting anyone to clap us, because, but it was still, I still value the fact that our guys, went out of their way. They did work at night. They, to and weekends just to keep things going. Of course, we all got paid,
Hmm.
and that and that was an incentive for them as well. But it was a big change to do that. They had to put some effort in, um, and yeah, more recognition of that. I definitely. I mean, we try and salute that, but um, it's not always appreciated across the board because I know from it on an installer level, that's in a pub. That's the thing that'll always come up.
Yeah.
It's like are you just an installer? Well, no, actually,
It's difficult.
yeah,
It is really difficult, because unfortunately, that's the way it's set up in some ways. When things go wrong on site, it does get funneled down, to unfortunately sometimes the installer. And really, were they upskilled correctly? Were they managed correctly? Did they know what they're supposed to? Was the system ever possible to install? Where does that responsibility sit and where does the accountability sit? It's a very difficult topic, a lot of dynamics in it. And, it's an interesting one. And I think, yeah, for me, to go back to your original point, the need is to pull the skilled people to the industry, and we've got to do things to make it attractive to get them there. So many graduates, engineering graduates I know end up in finance,
right, okay.
pays way better. They end up in tech, or things like that. They don't become engineers. So it's
Okay, so you're now king for a day, or for the year. What's the transformation? Where's the team point is transformation. So, what would you do to transform that? Um,
to transform the industry.
yeah, and to sort of like bring those guys in. What would you? How would you do it?
Oh, well, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be in the position I'm in. Be paid a lot more, maybe. Yeah, it's a really difficult one. I'm not sure is the honest answer. To get people into engineering. Recently we at CBRE we've been trying to engage with graduates and go talk to them and see what they want to do and talk to them about their career. And it's incredible how much graduates, I know I was this case as well, how little they know about construction, even though they're doing a construction degree, so to speak. If you're doing civil engineering, or I did architectural engineering, or you're doing some kind of architectural technology or even architecture, when you go talk to them, you go, do you understand the REBA stages? Yes. Okay. Do you understand where consultants sit? Maybe not. Do you understand the difference between tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 contractors? Maybe not. Do you know what PCSA is? No. So it's kind of, do you understand where you're going to go and how it's going to fit? No. I mean, it's not a problem necessarily because, like most people, you go into your career and you figure out as you go, where you start is definitely not where you're going to end up and you find your path. But I think we need to be going to talk to these people more and saying, these are the most attractive places in construction. Go have a look at that. Go look at this. Maybe do a bit more software development in university. So when you come into a engineering practice or a contractor, you can bring those skills and, you're not doing dumb modeling, for example, you can do smart modeling, or you can, figure out how to fly the drone to do the survey, figure out how to train a language model to pick up defects, Don't be scared of changing the process just because the process is there.
You got the job. Yeah, I mean,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the transformation point, it echoes what I've thought for a long time. It's help them see the end game, and get a taste of that. I mean, I know what we, occasionally some of the young guys I'll invite into the meeting to see how that they go, oh my God, I didn't realise it was so onerous, or that the quality of finish of this building was going to be what it was going to be, because we might be just putting a bit of glass in, and that could, the same glass could look in a shop front to, someone's head HQ. And that always works, and it instills a sense of pride and a sense of curiosity of like, okay, well, and a lot of the times also they'll bring ideas. Say, okay, well, how about using this bit of kit, or how about we, maybe I'd like to go and do abseiling, for instance, and they'll start on the journey of getting their Rata 3, whereas before, you think, okay, well, they showed no interest in that, but because they see the final and their part in it, they go, okay, I can see myself doing that in 5 years' time. Now, when someone sees himself for 5 years' time, I mean, that's some longevity, that's some skin in the game, isn't it? Because they're making their commitment. So yeah, I mean, it's similar to what you're saying, but probably you're doing it at a higher level. Well, we've put the words to rights, Jonathan. And I think it's been a real healthy discussion, and it's. I started off these things just so that I could get an insight from a different angle, because obviously we always see it as I'm sitting in an echo chamber, so we're seeing it from a repair and maintenance. We're now moving into inspection, but to speak to people like yourself who are already in that and consulting with clients at a much higher level. And I think you've raised some really good points that hopefully, if you're in project management or the property manager of a building, you've got some food for thought. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate. Come on, like you said, I'm probably a little bit different maybe to some of the people you have on. I'm younger, relatively early in my career, probably not even 30% through yet, and I've never been accused of not having an opinion, so I always usually have something to say. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't really know. But I enjoy talking about it, and I enjoy talking about tech and changes in the industry, because it is interesting, and it is interesting to think, in 20 years, what will my job even look like? Will my job even exist? Maybe not. But it's interesting.
Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Take care.